named Lori Gottlieb. She just wrote a book recently. And in the book, she surveys a bunch of men and a bunch of women. She asked a group of men, you're like, if you got 80% of what you wanted in a partner, would you be happy? And the men overwhelmingly said yes, they would be very happy. And they asked women, they said, if you got 80% of what you wanted in a partner, would you be happy? And overwhelmingly, the women said, no, that's settling. So there seems to be like some differentiation where it seemed to me like these men appreciated women, but not the other way around. Why do you think all these women felt that way, that they didn't need men?
We talked about this in the last episode. Men have created an unsafe place for women, and women have begged men to act right for so long.
You think it's unsafe? I think it's like 50 years ago was incredibly unsafe. The World War I was way more unsafe than this. I think men have created a very safe.
That's why there's a problem in this world. It is more and more unsafe, not less and less unsafe. The only thing is that it's more unsafe now in a more sneaky way than it was before. But it is a common experience for almost every woman to feel unsafe when walking out of her house.
Okay.
Yeah, she's just completely wrong here. Crime rates peaked in 1991 and has been going down ever since. And if you look at the data, crime rates aren't just dropping, but they're dropping significantly. So things have actually been getting safer over time. And with the inventions of technology and Ring cameras on every door, it's much, much harder to get away with crime.
I see what you're saying. But you don't think women felt unsafe walking out of their house previously?
I don't think it was as bad as it is right now.
I think people were getting away with stuff a lot back then too.
What do you say? Men built the house for women to feel safe in?
Huh?
Men built
the house
for women to feel safe in.
Okay.
Some men, because I would love a man like that.
Even
That's
if
for
you go
sure.
from the beginning of time,
That's not even relevant.
Of course,
he's asking about women feeling safe. He's not asking who built the house.
Yeah, but how is she going to? But how is she going to feel safe? Like again,
I understand the home that he built for her.
Things.
I understand. I think he's saying it like in a non-literal term. You build a house and you make the woman feel safe and you have a home with her. I understand that aspect. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm speaking just in general.
You're talking about like a contractor that went and built something.
No, just in general. Men built everything. You said that, you don't think that, women are safe, right? Well,
No, I'm telling you what we think.
Well, what
this
do
is
you
not
think
something
is not
that
reality?
men. Here's the thing. This is not something men can comment on at all. This is not what's your opinion at all. You don't get a say in this. Women don't feel safe. Period.
See, this is the major problem with her statement. Women don't feel safe. It doesn't matter if they are safer than all the generations of women before them. They still don't feel safe. There's a big difference between feeling unsafe and actually being unsafe. If you feel unsafe, then you move to a better area. You buy a gun, you take self-defense classes, whatever. These are things that can make her feel safe, but that would involve taking accountability.
Do you think that feelings supersedes reality?
No.
Okay, so what you said was very nonsensical. It doesn't make any sense.
I think there's proof.
It doesn't make any sense.
I think there's proof.
What
actual
proof do you have? I got more proof than you.
Articles, news, anything that you see where...
Jesse, women aren't less safe. We have the lowest crime rate in probably maybe forever. We actually are. You should read. There's a book about this called Enlightenment Now by Stephen Pinker, and he goes over how every single metric, poverty is lower and we have less crime. And how about child mortality? How about mortality during birth?
I'm actually going to take your side, Jesse.
Yeah.
I know this sounds crazy.
I'm waiting for the sarcastic comment.
No sarcastic comment. You said you don't feel safe.
That was exactly my point.
Do you think that women are unsafe, or do you think that they just feel unsafe for a lot of different, various reasons? Is it a feeling, or is it something that you can say, you know what, we're less safe today than we were before? Or is it a general kind of you just said, I'm speaking for women, on behalf of women, right? Mm-hmm. We feel unsafe. Mm-hmm. I would agree with you on that. I'll tell you why. Because women are the vulnerable sex.
Right.
They are the ones that men have to protect, provide, and provision for since we were running around in the sub-Saharan African savannas as hunter-gatherers. Okay. So when women say I feel unsafe, it's generally because they're the ones that are charged with having children, being the incubators of the next generation. So of course you're going to feel unsafe, because when you are pregnant with a child for 9 months at a pop, and then have another one and another one after that, then yes, you're the vulnerable sex, and rely on men to have them make you feel safe in a very chaotic world that death is right around the corner, right? So the feeling, I understand. The logic behind that, are you actually safe, are you not? That can be debated, but the feeling of it, I think a lot of women do actually agree with you. They would say, I don't feel safe because of any number of reasons. Whether that's logical or there's actually something behind that. I think it's something that's sort of hardwired into women's psyches, because they're the ones that have to bear the children, and they're in a very vulnerable position.
And that's also proves my point.
I can kind of understand this point, but just because you're the weaker sex doesn't mean you're more in danger. That makes you more vulnerable, but it doesn't mean that you're more in danger. Men are stronger than women, yet we're 4 times more likely to die of homicide. So what she's saying sounds more like an irrational fear. That's like being scared to fly on a plane, but you drive a car every day, when statistically you're more likely to die driving a car than flying in an airplane. And women feel like all these men are out to get them, when in reality it's probably like 1% of men who are committing violent crimes.
Why women need guidance, which I had a problem with in the beginning of the podcast when we first started. So think about it. If you don't naturally, you're saying that we don't feel safe. Well, you just said that feelings doesn't supersede reality, right? So that means that reality is real, but your feelings aren't necessarily real. They can be real, but they aren't necessarily, meaning that you can have a feeling that actually equals to the reality, but what I'm saying is this is why women need guidance, because they can feel whatever and they need a man, a masculine man that's going to guide them in the right direction.
I have to agree with you to a point here, because I like what you're saying in terms of, and I think a lot of women would also agree with me, that if there was quality men that actually were true leaders, where they had their shit together, where they were building the home that you're speaking metaphorically and physically for their partner, et cetera, we would definitely feel, to your point earlier, more comfortable in our feminine energy and to be kind of that, supportive figure to our men to, set them up to be the leader.
So if they did the shit that you want, then they can lead.
No, not the shit that you want, but to create.
What is the things that
well,
you're talking
if you let me
about?
finish, sir. What I'm referring to is, like, you have a very, very valid point in terms of, like, needing a male to be kind of the safe place, the protector, the provider, the partner, the defender, all of these things. But the problem is, in today's society, those types of men are dwindling.
Yeah, so back to my question that I asked you that you didn't answer.
You didn't ask me a question, actually. You just interrupted me while I was speaking.
I did ask you a question. I'll ask it again. Here was the question that I asked. I said, what would that stuff be other than material stuff?
Okay, that's the first time you've asked me that question. First of all, I didn't say anything about material stuff.
No. I said something about material stuff because it's my question to you.
You didn't ask me a question, sorry. But
I did ask you a question.
What's your question?
I'll ask you again. Okay. Other than material shit, what are these qualities that you think are going to make you feel safe?
Okay.
So what a lot of women will do is they'll say, oh, the reason we're not feminine is because there's no masculine men out there. Or they'll say, oh, the reason we don't follow men is because there's no good male leadership out there. But when you get them to describe the man that they're actually looking for, you'll find out that there's plenty of men like that out there. That's why Andrew said, other than material things, he's trying to get them to understand that the man that they say that they are looking for is out there. They just might not have all the material assets that these women typically chase.
There's a lot of things that you
I think you're making a lot of assumptions about me, which you don't know me. So in terms of,
I'm responding to what you just said.
Yeah.
I didn't say anything about material.
No, but I think you did. That's the whole point.
She
I literally
talked
said nothing about
providing
material
a
items.
home, like, emotionally. She didn't say anything about jewelry or whatever you think that she thinks.
Yes, but what?
I'll tell you the non-physical things I named, because I named several. I said nothing physical, by the way. I think I made one reference to a home, and I said a metaphorical home.
So just chill out.
I'm talking about being a partner.
Listen to what I'm asking you. Okay, listen to what I'm actually asking. You say, if we have hypermasculine men who are doing X, Y, and Z, then we'll let them lead. Okay. Other than material, what do you mean by this? Okay.
So you just phrased it better and less attacking. So what I mean by that is somebody who you can rely on, that's communicative. That is, when I say rely on, I mean, like, if you want to talk to them, they pick up the phone. They're not ghosting for 3 days. So they're a reliable partner. They're a partner in terms of, like, if you both have jobs, you're both bringing income to the table. You're both bringing food to the table. You're creating a trustworthy relationship. You're loyal to one another. You have respect for one another, appreciation, gratitude. There's all these incredible things that are essential for a successful relationship. I'm just talking about being a good friend, a good partner, a reliable, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever. That's all I'm talking about.
So
see right there? That's why I'm glad Andrew asked her to describe the man that she's looking for. Because we all know a man who knows how to communicate effectively. And she said that she wants a man to contribute financially, not pay all the bills. I know plenty of guys who are more than willing to go 50-50 with a woman. So that's pretty easy to find. And she said that she wants a man who is a friend. Now, based off those attributes, there are plenty of men who fit the build. So she should have no problem settling into her feminine frame.
What puts you in the position where you think he should lead is just these qualities that you're talking about of friendship and this type of thing?
Yeah, I mean, I could give you so many examples where I was in relationships where I really wanted that from somebody else, where they were creating an environment that was secure and safe, and I could rely on them and trust them. But that didn't happen. Like, maybe they weren't working, they were living with their mom. They weren't showing me that they were able to be, kind of a torchbearer. That was me doing that. So that's all I'm asking for. I'm not asking for material anything. I'm just asking for a loyal, trustworthy, reliable partner.
I mean, if they're living with their mom, they're not working, those would be material conditions, right?
I guess in some respect, but then also non-material too, in terms of just, like, you out of a partner, I want someone who has goals, ambition, drive. There's all these other
material.
things.
Right.
Women do this funny thing where they say they don't care about a man's money, but then they'll list all the attributes of a man who has money. That's like me saying, I don't care about a woman's looks, but I want a woman who works out every day, eats healthy, and dresses well. But women aren't really attracted to men with money. They fake attraction to those men so they can take their resources. What they're really attracted to is a man who has the ability to gather resources.
These are material conditions.
I feel like you guys are, like, kind of overwhelmed with the feminine energy, so you guys are just automatically attacking.
I don't
think so. I don't think that's what it is. I'm not sure if that's what's going on.
In terms of, like, the physical things that you guys are talking about, I just want to make a really clear distinction just so no one's confused. In terms of, like, material things, I don't need stuff. I'm not a stuff girl. I don't have purses. I'm not a stuff girl, just to clarify. I mean, I'm a girl that will eat an MRE in your backyard in a camping, a tent, and I'm just as happy. So I want to clarify, material things for me are very different. Material things for me are, security, making sure that I'm okay, making sure, like, if I'm sick for a few weeks, I can take a couple weeks off work. My partner's got me. You know what I mean? Like, just being, I guess in some respects that's a little bit materialism, sure, but not in the way that you're thinking.
So that you understand, when we're talking about materialism, Rollo brings up this point. He says, women want this security because they're the more vulnerable sex. Okay, so to the point of safety, it's really women have made it in the shade safety-wise, right? So he's probably right that this is a mental block. I mean, women used to get attacked by literal wolves, right? Like, that actually happened. Their dresses would catch on fire in the 1700s and they would burn to death. Not a joke, right? Those were real safety concerns. Those don't really exist anymore. So when I'm asking this question, I'm talking about the mentality of, is this mental thing which is going on for I'm unsafe? Does this have to do with material conditions, or is this some other form of conditions which is causing this mental state of I feel unsafe?
See, women also do this thing where they say they want to be taken care of. And I apologize for all the pauses. I'm going to let it play. But when women say they want to be taken care of, that could mean them taking off work for a couple of years while they raise a baby, which a lot of men can't do in this economy. And I don't know why she just doesn't admit to wanting financial security. I think at this point, most men understand that's what women want. Let's just cut through the bullshit and say you want a man with money.
I feel like women feel unsafe today because everything that you see on the news is some crazy individual attacking a woman.
What do you mean specifically? What, like, can you be specific of attacking a woman? What do you mean?
I mean, like, not necessarily attacking a woman, but like you can hear all of these news stories about, individuals crossing the border, in the cartel and raping women.
I've had my house broken into twice in the last.
That happens a lot. Human trafficking.
I've had my house broken into twice. I live in LA in the last year.
Yeah, so I think the more women pay attention to the news and the things that are going on in the world, I feel like that can create a fear in itself. It doesn't mean that it's actually happening
Well, you
in
bring
their
up a good
local
point.
area.
So it's environment, material conditions.
80% of the victims of violent crime are men. They're not women.
Against each other?
Yes,
Yeah.
but for the most part. There is some, I forgot, Dr. Buss had one. It was something like 88% of murders are men killing other men over women or something like that. And it was like 6% were women killing other women or something like that. But yeah, for the most part, while you may feel unsafe, the brunt of that unsafeness is actually men having to deal with that. We're the ones who have to get the shotgun and go downstairs when there's a noise in the kitchen, right?
I'm not saying I particularly feel unsafe. I can understand why other women feel unsafe because I don't personally like to live in fear.
Yeah.
There might be a statistic where there's a certain amount of women that get raped every day, whatever. I'm not going to pay attention to that because I feel like the more that you fear something, the more that you draw those kind of circumstances into your life. So I just choose not to live that way.
Nice. Okay.
I love that. A woman here who is willing to take some accountability. And at the end of the day, this all comes down to perspective. Some people flee from war-torn countries to come to America because it's safer, or at least safer than where they came from. But people in New Zealand or Australia would probably laugh at the fact of going to America because it's safer. She brought up seeing attacks on the news, but when she talks about the news, she's also talking about social media. We now live in an age where if someone gets attacked 400 miles away, we're going to hear about it. We're going to see video about it. You'd mainly hear about your local crimes unless there was a story big enough to make nationwide headlines. So thanks to social media, things seem like things are getting worse when in actuality, things are just being reported more because now anyone with a camera is now a reporter.
Law of attraction.
Everybody's got to say, Allie, do you have something to say? You have some crossfire you want to throw at me?
I think
just say that I interrupted you and just cuss at me.
Everybody going outside of their doors these days should have a little bit of fear behind them,
Yeah.
male and female. I get like Miranda said, I can understand why a lot of women feel safe. A big thing to me is like who you surround yourself with. So I have a lot of people who in my life that I feel like can protect me or would have my back. A lot of these being males that I can count on or that I would call for specific reasons for things that I need that I'm not or I can't handle myself. So just like the basic question of needing men, and I don't know, if you want to feel safer, maybe you should have like a band of men behind you who are gonna have your back.
I'm going to stop it right there because it's good to end on a note where women are taking accountability for their own safety. Because if you feel unsafe, there are precautions that you can take to make yourself feel safer. And I'm going to keep it a buck. Half the time when women say they don't feel safe around men or they rather pick the bear than pick the man, I don't believe them. Because if you feel so unsafe, then why do you wear these skimpy ass outfits and go to places where there's a bunch of drunk men? I don't know about you, but if I'm scared of men, I would not go somewhere where a shit ton of them congregate and entice them with skimpy ass outfits. Men are so dangerous, but that same woman would have a one night stand with a man they barely even know. So there's some type of cognitive dissonance going on here. Maybe they just like living on the edge. I don't know. All right, that's all I got for this one. Please let me know what points did you agree with, what points did you disagree with. Please leave your comments below and let me know what you thought. And if you want to see more videos like this, hit that subscribe button. And if you got anything out of this video, hit that like button. Disagree to disagree. I'm out.